Alright, hello! So, Dark Souls 3 just came out, and I figure, what's a better time than to show off a weapon that's most like my favorite weapons in all the Dark Souls games? And that weapon is the Galatine. So, like the weapons I usually use in Souls games, this weapon is just a huge goddamn sword that's pretty much as big as me. Or at least as tall in Warframe. We've got some very hefty characters here. The Galatine is an amazing weapon in the mid-game and can be brought to the end game. It is just an incredible weapon, and it's probably the weapon I'm most excited to get a Prime, not only because I want to see what it looks like, but because I think it will be one of the best weapons in the game. So, this is pretty much the build that I roll with when using the Galatine. I do not currently have Tempo Royale because I sold mine, but I would probably use Tempo Royale over Cleaving Whirlwind as the stance for this, just because of the length of the weapon being better utilized, I'd say, with Tempo Royale, which really helps when using Prime Reach and such. But Cleaving Whirlwind is still great. Honestly, the Heavy Blade stances are all pretty decent at the very least. But this is generally what I'm running. Life Strike for healing. Obviously, Reach because just making a giant sword even larger is just fun. And then just some general basic mods. Body Count because it'll give me more damage than Spoiled Strike and won't lower the speed that I swing at. Fury because my crit is a little too low for me to trust Berserker 100% of the time. And then otherwise just some damage and making my channeling cost a little less. This build is really simple, and it's just held up by the good stats of the Galatine. In the mid game, this weapon is just absolutely super destructive. Like, you're gonna kill a lot of people with this. It's a room clearer. Like, if you're on any like slightly melee based Warframe, this is a great weapon to pick up. If you're early on and it's like, well, hey, I just hit Venus and I've got a Rhino, and it's like, well, Rhino's in a way that you can be melee based, so pick up a Galatine and start cleaving people in half. It's actually one of the, if you want to go into melee, that's a really good way to do it in the early game. And the Galatine is just a solid weapon all around. So let's murder some dudes. This should not be difficult in the least. Yeah, utilizing the spin on cleaving is, of course, always good. Especially with Prime Reach. Also, because it's a melee weapon and it's so long with Prime Reach, this will go through walls. Oh yeah, also you have momentum, which is amazing. As I have elaborated upon before, having momentum during your swings basically means that you can engage whoever the fuck you want and they can't do anything about it. Yeah. Body count is one of the kind of cruxes of this, though. Let me just get rid of you. Alright. I think that's actually everyone already. Yeah. But yeah, Galatine, it's got, like, this weapon does not require, like, very many materials, and it's not like you don't need other weapons to build it. Not much really goes into the Galatine, and it's just a super solid weapon that you can just, like, you could take this into T4, and you wouldn't be at much of a disadvantage compared to a lot of the top-end weapons, honestly, because I'd say this weapon is, like, 5% critical chance away from me seeing it a lot more in the endgame stuff, because critical kind of takes over due to Blood Rush and Body Count being a combination. But for like later game missions, this is still super fine. And this weapon is just fantastic, and that's why you would use it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.